What is up, y'all? It is pre-prep week 5, I believe, of our pre-prep now. So, everything's still going good. I did have to drop calories a little bit. It's still not too bad. Things went down ever so slightly. Expenditure, so steps is up a little bit. We're up to 10K steps a day, so still, nothing crazy. Still doing about 60 minutes of cardio a week in 3 20-minute sessions. But today we have a push day. So today's my push, I believe my push B day technically. So in today's push day, we kind of start with more of a pressing movement. Usually I would start with flies, and I know in the past I've said that I will always start my pushing days or upper days or whatever I am, wherever I'm hitting chest with flies. Well, we have one day that starts with flies, and then my coach, we have one day with presses. So that's okay. I'm gonna listen to coach. I trust him, and we're gonna do what he says. But that said, we are starting with kind of like a flat press machine. So, um, yeah, and then flies, all their stuff, fun stuff. You'll see the workout. But otherwise, pre-prep's going good. I'd say we're still on track from where we want to be. Um, we're dropping calories, increasing expenditure mainly to just hopefully hopefully continue the weight loss. Weight loss is slowed down a little bit. Not too bad though. That's why we had to up the stuff and kind of up the expenditure, up the or lower the calories more. So nothing crazy. You know what it is. Raw essentials, bum essentials, whatever it is. Any raw nutrition products, use code RSHAYFIT. But anyways, back to the pre-prep talk. Yeah, it's been going good. I feel like even though I haven't lost a ton of weight thus far, which is fine, I feel like the body's kind of recomped a little bit. I'm looking just a bit sharper everywhere, and the physique's just looking pretty decent overall for being, still in a little bit higher body fat, a little bit softer than what I would be obviously when I get leaner stage weight or anything like that. But I think for the most part, everything's been going good. I can't complain. Energy's still good. Um, Stress is low. Everything's going good. Everything's good. We're just feeling good. We're in a good spot, good flow state with this pre-prep. But that's all I got. So I'm gonna drink this pre-workout, eat my pre-workout apple. I already had my other pre-workout meal, chicken, rice, avocado, and some kimchi. I'd honestly never had kimchi, and I was struggling to find it in any stores. And I kept telling myself I was going to make it homemade, but I got lazy and never did. But luckily, I finally found some, so now I'm having my kimchi as I'm supposed to, per my meal plan. So it only took, 5 weeks of this pre-prep to finally get on the kimchi, but it's good. I'd never had it before. It's different, but I like it. I like it. And it's super low calories, so an easy way to add some volume to your meals. And it's great for your like gut microbiome or whatever. So yeah, pretty dope. And it just adds some more flavors to my meals, so that's always fun. But that's enough talking. I'm gonna drink this, eat this apple, do what I gotta do, and get to the gym. So we'll catch you at the workout. All right, so the first movement we are doing here is a machine ab crunch, as you can see. And I start with abs on all of my upper focus days, so on both my push days and both my pull days. We kind of switch out what we do for abs every single different lift, but on this one specifically, we're doing a machine ab crunch, very standardized motion. Biggest focus here is I'm trying to kind of drive my shoulders almost down into like my hips, so really making sure I'm getting that spinal flexion and actually using my abs rather than just like jerking the weight around. But otherwise, it's a pretty standardized machine, pretty straightforward. We do 3 sets on this to just get started in this workout. So the next movement we have is a machine flat press. Like I said, this push day we start with our pressing movement. Honestly, on this machine I had the seat a little low, so I raised it up since then. But nonetheless, cues are still kind of the same. Basically, I'm making sure my shoulder blades are down and back, keeping my shoulders out of the movement as best I can, keeping kind of a 45-degree angle in my arms. And then one thing I picture when I'm pressing through these is I picture pressing the weight, like obviously using my chest to contract it, but I want to picture bringing my bicep to and through my pecs. So I'm not really thinking about pushing the weight away from me or anything. I'm thinking about bringing my elbows in and together and bringing my bicep up into my pec as I extend my elbows and push the weight away from me. Hopefully that makes sense, but that is just the biggest cue that I use in my own head that seems to help me really target my pecs and feel it in my pecs a lot more rather than my shoulders or triceps. I forgot to mention, but on that last movement, the chest press, we did 2 sets, 1 set in the 6 to 8 rep range and 1 set in more of the 10 to 12 rep range. Anyway, next movement is kind of this incline shoulder / chest press machine. Here again, it's another machine, so it's pretty linear. Movement pattern's pretty simple. It's just a lot more comfortable for me to use these neutral grips rather than kind of the other grip closer to my shoulder. But with here, we're doing 2 sets, first 6 to 8, second 10 to 12. Only really thing I have here for cues is keeping your shoulder blades, down and back again, and really bracing against that machine. Otherwise, I'm just pushing this through, and I also I'm trying to contract mostly through my upper chest on this, and trying to keep my shoulders out of it as much as I can. I mean, it's a pretty high incline press, so you're gonna get a lot of front delt on this too. But since my chest needs more work, I do focus on really trying to contract through my chest and just use the mind-muscle connection there. I don't really have any cues on how I do that. I just really think of it and feel it in my chest more personally. So if you have a good mind-muscle connection, maybe that'll help. Next, we have 2 sets on the pec deck or machine chest fly, whatever you want to call it. Here, like I said, 2 sets, both in a 10 to 12 rep range is at least the goal. I can't remember off the top of my head what I got here, so we will see by watching these 2 clips here of these 2 sets. But biggest cue here is keeping your chest up, big chest, keeping your shoulder blades down and back. You don't want to kind of let yourself lean over or let your shoulders come in too much and kind of round around, almost like some people say hug a tree. I don't really think of that because sometimes it makes my shoulders kind of come in more. You want to keep your arms fairly straight, not perfectly straight, but decently straight. And then another thing that really helps me on machine flies is I'm kind of pushing the pressure as far as in my hands towards the bottom of my hand, down by my pinkies almost. I'm trying to drive through my pinkies and almost trying to scoop that weight up. Like I'm trying to scoop that handle up and then drive that way to keep my elbows kind of down and in. And then also the same cue as when I'm pressing. I'm trying to really bring my biceps and my elbows and biceps together. So I'm trying to bring those biceps to the pecs and then pushing down through the bottom of my palm almost by the pinky on those handles. And I've noticed that has been what has helped engage my chest the most when I'm doing machine flies. So now we're onto our lateral raises. Here I set the cable, as you can see, kind of just a little below hip height. Sometimes I set it right at hip height, but that just helps get a bigger stretch when we're at the bottom of this motion to make sure that all the tension doesn't come off the shoulder. Just keep constant tension throughout the entire motion. And then biggest thing here is make sure you're doing a weight you can actually handle and control. You want to make sure you're lifting the weight with your lateral delts, your side delts, and not with your traps. A lot of times traps like to take over in this movement because either you're using too heavy of weight or you're not actually engaging your shoulders properly. But what you should be doing here is keeping your arm pretty straight here. I have my arm almost completely straight, and then I'm really focusing on pushing that weight away from me rather than just like pulling it upward. I want to push it away from me. And another cue that I've always used while doing cable lateral raises specifically is try and picture that you're trying to reach that wall across from you. So with that hand that is moving the weight, I'm picturing reaching out and trying to touch that wall away from you, so that it's really helping me push that weight out in a nice large arcing movement rather than just doing everything I can to lift it up and bring it back down. Next, we have some cable rear delt flies. I want to set this to kind of pulley arm high, almost at or above my head height. So at about the height you see it here, you know, it's about what my eye level would be if I'm standing next to the pulley, but I'm a couple steps back, so it looks maybe a little higher. And then you want to focus on bringing your arm out and around in a sweeping motion. A cue that I used to hear was, it's specifically more on the pec deck, reverse pec deck, but it also works here. Is picture there's a pool of money in front of you. There's money all over the floor. You want to sweep your arm out and around, because all of the area that your arm covers, that's sweeping out and around, everywhere that your arm reaches, you get to keep that money under you. So really sweep that arm out and around. And then also make sure you're getting a nice deep stretch there at the top. But you want to keep your elbow kind of up as well. Don't let it fall too far down, because then your triceps might come into play a little bit. But overall, I feel like as long as you're moving in kind of a similar line with the cable as you see here, it's a pretty simple movement, and I feel like there's not much here. You'll be able to feel it in your rear delt. Make sure you go nice and light here to really feel your rear delt, and don't, you know, overextend yourself and go too heavy, because then again, there's a high risk of your traps taking over in that movement. But next, we will flow right into our triceps here, which first for triceps, we're just doing a single arm cable push down. I do these facing straight on. I've also played around doing them kind of off to the side and coming across my body, which I've been doing a lot more recently, and I have been enjoying it across body too. But honestly, with these, it's whatever you feel most comfortable with. The biggest thing is you want to make sure that you're really forcing that weight down with your tricep and not using your shoulders or anything. A lot of people will bend over too much or use momentum and kind of get their shoulders more engaged on tricep pushdowns. You really want to focus on moving that weight with your tricep. Like, contract through the tricep, make sure you're pushing it down, you're feeling your, I mean, if you sitting, standing, wherever you are, if you push your arm down and try to flex your tricep, you should feel what it feels like to contract your tricep, and that's the feeling you want with these. You don't want to be forcing the weight around with any other muscle. You really want to be targeting that tricep and contracting hard at the bottom with your triceps. And the final movement we have on this push day is in a seated overhead tricep extension. So I have a bench set at about 90 degrees, and then I take an easy bar and just do a simple overhead extension here. I'm trying to keep my elbows kind of tucked in as much as I can, but obviously they're still going to be flared out just a little bit. Do what's comfortable. Don't put too much undue pressure on your shoulders or elbows with this, but again, just go down, get a good stretch, and then drive through those triceps to push it up. All right, what is up, y'all? So that is it for the workout, and that's all for pre-prep week 5, I believe. So everything's going good, still feeling good. I really have no complaints, no crazy updates. There hasn't been any crazy changes to like food, steps, cardio, anything like that. Training has stayed pretty much the same. So no major updates there. Basically just still everything's going good, slowly taking some weight off, and we're getting closer and closer every day to the actual real contest prep. So that'll be exciting once we get there. But for now, you know, it's nice and chill, just pre-prepping, and then we'll get a decent diet break from here to prep potentially. So yeah, that's where we're at now. But that's all I got for you guys. I appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, you know, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. It really helps me out. Otherwise, I will catch you next Monday. Thank you so much for watching one more time, and peace.